Pranam Masters. Welcome to our English Swadyaya session. Before we start, let us offer our humble pranams to Brahmashri Pitamaha Patriji, Swarnamala Patriji Ma, to all the pyramid masters and universe masters. So we have Master Sujata here, and rest of us are the presenters. Okay. As we know, we've been actually reading and sharing our knowledge on this book, The Buddha's Wife, for more than a month now. So previously what we were doing is we were doing the first half of the book, the first part, the first chapter, where it talks about this fictional story of Yashodra's life after Buddha left her, and how she went into depression and suffering, and how her mother-in-law Prajapati helped her to heal, and also how all the ladies in their sanghas, including Yashodhara, found their awakening. And now, this week onward, we'll be focusing on the second half of the book, or chapter 2. In this chapter, it's more to like how to do whatever we've read previously. Now we are going to put it into use, and this method, it's little clinical, but I think it can be used by normal laymen like us. Just it's based on some methods that given in these chapters. Okay, masters. Before we start, we shall meditate together. I'll play music, so please sit comfortably. And if you have a pyramid head or Ogong pyramid, please do utilize your pyramids for meditation and sit comfortably. Close your eyes, intertwine your fingers, and just focus on your breath, your natural, easy breath. We shall meditate for 10 minutes. Thank you. Masters, slowly come back to your consciousness. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now gently place your palms on your eyes for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now slowly open your eyes and look at your palms. Okay, Masters, welcome back. Okay, let us congratulate and celebrate our successful meditation with claps. Masters, to all those who just joined us, welcome to our English Swadyaya session. And we've been, for past 1 month, more than a month, we've been reading and sharing our wisdom on this, the book, the Buddha's Wife book. And now we have moved to chapter 2, the second half of the book, where it talks about more to how to heal. You know, where if we form this Sangha, how it should work. They have given us a lot of methods and practicals that we can follow. And to those who have no knowledge about the book, I shall give you a small recap. Okay, this book, it's a fictional story or mythical story of Yashodra's life, where how she led her life after Buddha left her, where she fell into deep depression and how she healed and she became a healer, emotional healer, and a powerful woman, and also how she found her path of awakening. And we have a lot of characters in the book. Prajapati, Buddha's adopted mother; Rahula, Buddha's son; and Sudodana, who is Buddha's father; and Chanda, Buddha's close friend; and many other ladies, Kisa Gotami, a nun from Buddha Sangha. So this story involves around them. So now today, me, myself Pathma, Sivalingam, Master Meera, and Master Keishnaveni, we are going to do on the second half of the chapter. And I'm going to share about what I'm going to share on my part today is, as we always know, in not just in our culture, generally it is very common to, I'm not trying to be biased here, but it's very common that the men tend to leave everything behind and they just move forward. They just leave behind when it's in a good way, or it's in a way like escapism, where they just leave everything behind and without thinking about what happens to the family, and they move on a different path. That's what Buddha did. Okay, he has to follow his destiny and becoming a great enlightened master, so he had to leave behind his family. And even in Western culture, you know, this story has happened in the Odyssey, the Greek epic. It's same thing happened. Even in other Hindu myth, like it also happened. So when this happened, so what about those who stayed behind? You know, the she who stayed behind. What about the group of people who stayed behind? And what about those who hears the cries of those people who stayed behind? So it shows that psychologically in Western, not just Western, generally in psychologically, it shows that for a man, it's normal for them to, you know, they have to project themselves as strong, independent. They have to be self-sufficient, and they have to go away from the family and be a hero and come back and be the man of the family. Whereas the females, they have to stay behind. They have to take care of the family, and then they have to be more in self-relationship and discover their own path. So when this happens, it's not, I mean, it's both a win-win situation. At the same time, I could say a loss-loss situation, because in the journey of those who leaves and those who stays, it's not mainly about the gender, it's not about the female or the male, but it's about the situation, the scenario, the convenience. Like how Buddha just left his newborn son. He knows, he's going to get a son soon, but still he left and he moved forward. But what about Yashodhara? Was she in a situation to leave her newborn and just follow her husband? No, she can't. Even if she did that, will she be able to bring her child with her, be homeless and look for her husband? That's even more impossible. So she was in a situation where she's stuck that to make her own decision. If she was not with a child, probably she would just leave everything behind and try to look for her husband. So her child, even if she goes out to look for husband, if she happens to know, cannot find him or just lost him forever, she will be in a even more in a depression, and in that depression she won't have any mean to survive. But whereas in this case, when she stayed in the palace, she found her meaning of life in the form of her newborn. And of course, her mother-in-law Prajapati was a very huge help. And how could Prajapati became a healer? How could she be a therapist that helped Yashodhara to come out from her suffering and be a healer, an emotional healer to her whole sangha? Is because of Prajapati's own experience. Prajapati, she lost her sister, her only sister, Maya Devi. Maya Devi is Buddha's mother. So when she lost her only sister, she has experienced that suffering too, that depression, where she found Buddha is Buddha needs her, Siddhartha Gautama needs her, and she has to become strong for the sake of that newborn and dedicate her life to raise that newborn. So it's about the same scenario here, and it happens in a just like a different year to the different person. So with that knowledge that Prajapati acquired from her previous experience, she was able to heal Yashodhara and also helped her to find her own path of awakening. I can give you some examples. When people say be in others' shoe, try to be in his shoe or try to be in her shoe. If you never experience what they have undergone, not even a bit, you can't even imagine what actually they've gone through. And how can you be in their shoe until unless you have gone through what, even a bit of what they've gone through. If I never experienced a pain of a person that I tried to be with, the person, just if I'm the person who hears the cry, if I need to connect with the person who stayed behind, or the person, if I put it in a simple word, the person who's in depression or suffering with losses, first of all, in first hand, I need to experience that. If not, probably when that person is trying to, pour out her emotion, what I will be thinking is, oh, she's just, yapping. She's just playing victim. She's just, self-pity. She's engulfed in self-pity. So for me to connect with that person, with the person who's suffering, first of all, I must have experienced that suffering in some level. So that's what happened between Yashodhara and Prajapati. And what they are saying is this suffering is what connects the others as well. So if you see in the Sangha, the Sangha is formed by Prajapati and Yashodhara. They call it circle of compassion or circle of right relation. This Sangha, they had many other ladies, who stayed behind. And when they were sharing their experience, their pain, it's not exactly what Prajapati or Yashodhara might have gone through. But what was common there? The common factor was suffering. They had undergone some form of suffering. Earlier in the earlier the chapter, in the first chapter, we know that if we know the story of Kisa Gotami, and to those who have no idea about Kisa Gotami, okay, Kisa Gotami, she was a lady, and she had a son. Her son died because of some disease. So what she did, she went to Buddha and asked to Buddha to give her son's life back. And Buddha promised, yes, he will revive the son if she can find one house in that village where death never occurred. So she was going, house by house, trying to find and get a mustard seed from the house. So she was going, house by house, and try to find where just one house where death never occurred. And finally she came into realization that every household has gone through death, loss, or suffering. When she was, that revelation make her understand that everyone suffers. So my suffering is same with others as well. So with that revelation, she became, in a way, that her path of awakening, she became a nun in Buddha's Sangha. So this shared suffering, despite of the type of suffering, we know that the common factor among the ladies in the Sangha is, in some point they suffered due to something, some issues. The husband left them for war or poverty, or they don't have a child, marriage issues. So what this Prajapati and Yashodhara did was, with their own experience of their own personal suffering that they've undergone, they've used it as a handbook to emotionally heal other ladies in the Sangha. And what they've gone, they said, when we share this same kind of suffering, what we need to show to others is compassion. We have to be very, very compassionate. In Buddhism, right, they talk about this goddess Guan Yin, also known as Bodhisattva of compassion. So this goddess is mainly what she does is, they call the one who hears the cries. Means she's with thousand arms, and each in her each palms she has eyes. So it's like she's there to offer people, I'm offering, she's ready to serve, she's ready to respond, she's ready to meet those people who cries out to her. So that's what Prajapati did. When she saw this desperation in Yashodhara's eyes, when Yashodhara felt so lost after she knew that her husband just left her, the first thing Prajapati did, she offered compassion. She promised to her that, first, yes, you can go through this. I have gone through this. We will heal. You will heal. It's she gave this kind of confidence to her. We will pass this as well together. So the same thing what Prajapati and did to Yashodhara gave the same confidence to the ladies in the Sangha. And in this story, we know that Prajapati, she came forth. And what made her to came forth and offer this kind of a help? Now they say it's support group, right? And the person who heads the support group, the one who comes forth to listen to cries of the others. What makes them, I can't say qualified, but what makes them to be in that position to come forth and listen to others' cries is, it's their common factor, that the suffering, the griefs that they have gone through, and they know the pain of others just because of the experience that they've undergone. So when Yashodhara or all the ladies that received the gift of desperation, they had choice either to just end their life, or just live like a corpse with no meaning, or to stay alive and be strong and be in the, change that suffering into their awakening. So this happened to Yashodhara. When she found that she can turn her pain and her suffering into her awakening, she thought the same to the rest of the ladies in the Sangha. Okay, and 5 good things about connecting. So this psychologist Jane Baker Miller, she and Janet Surrey and some other psychologists, the doctors, they all actually came up with the 5 good things. And they said this 5 good thing is very essential for every growth fostering relationship. And they say it has to be mutual. When Prajapati offered her support to Yashodhara, Yashodhara must be in a position to accept it, to open up. Imagine if Prajapati offered her support, but Yashodhara was so closed up, she never wanted to open up. Definitely, not just the mutual connection, but the healing won't occur. So the person who stayed behind, or the person who cries, or the person who suffers, they need to be ready to open up and receive the love, receive the compassion from the person who can heal them. Okay, the 5 good thing, right? So what they say, this 5 good thing, it enhance the relationship, and it's also this 5 characteristic of this 5 good thing. We can anticipate that, we can feel this when we are in a mutual connection. Zest, first is zest, where when you know that somebody is there for you, somebody listening to you, you know that you have a very strong support. You feel very how do I put it in word, you feel like a sense of vitality, energy. You feel like, okay, I'm being seen, I'm being heard, I'm being loved, that kind of feeling. That's what zest. And the second one is empowerment. It shows that when we are together, when we are in a group, like in a sangha, we are healing together, you feel like we can get it done, we can pass this, we can definitely undergo this pain. And when we are in a mutually growth fostering relationship, we are more able to take action both within and outside the relationship. And the third one is knowledge of self, others, and the relationship. So in mutual authenticity in a relationship promotes increased clarity both about yourself and other person in the relationship. We will be learning more about ourselves, our true potential, and also the person who we are connected with to heal. And this is very, very essential. Unless we are not truly have knowledge about ourselves and others, we can't form this bond, this sacred healing bond. Okay, the fourth is an increased sense of worth. When we are in a relationship, and when we know that this person, whoever I'm in this healing sangha, that person will see this our bigger potential. They'll be like, I know you can do this better, only you have no idea about what you are capable of. Means that person giving us the confidence. So this will increase the sense of our own self-worth and desire for more connection. So when we are healing from this, when you have tasted all this this help from others, where you have healed, you will have that crave to offer this help to others and help others to heal as well. And what psychologically or scientifically they say, we humans are in a way, in a brain, we are wired to experience, to feel the pain of others. Just imagine, when you see somebody has an accident in the roadside, you even though you have never experienced the accident, you can feel the pain. And if we see like a video of animals being slaughtered and being tortured, despite we might not been in that situation where we've been slaughtered or in the suffering, but we could feel the pain. So that's how we all humans connected. Okay, I think this is all about my part. So I shall now call upon Master Keishnaveni to present her understanding on her part.
My humble pronouns to Pidamaga Patriji. Swarnamala Patriji and everyone in this platform at this moment. Okay, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with every one of you. So I'm going to share on the steps on the path of the right relationship. Okay, it's talking about the teaching of the Vietnamese Buddhist monk teaching. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh, reflected on his deep understanding of the importance of the community and also the sangha on going through all the suffering among the human beings. Okay, and he particularly says that every suffering is not not a suffering by an individual. It's actually a suffering by the it's a whole suffering among the people around them. Okay, like in this story, if we take it as like what we call Yasodhara, she is suffered because Buddha left her behind. Okay, so Buddha's decision of leaving behind Yasodhara is not it is not like Buddha he left and then left behind all the suffering to the people who is still around. Okay, because you see, when Buddha left, Yasodhara suffered, the mother, Prajapati, and the father, every one of them suffered, together with Rahula also. Okay, because Rahula was still small, he still need a father's love, and then he was just left like that. So it is a community suffering, it's not by individual suffering. So every suffering is a community suffering. And then he also relate this to the importance of the three jewels that Buddha have taught. The three jewels is the Sangha, the Buddha, and also the Dharma. Importance of the self in Western psychology. Okay, in Western psychology, they are more individual. Okay, they like to be like more individual rather than in a family. Like what if you look at our culture, in Hindu culture, we are more family oriented compared to the Western culture, they are more individual. After they reach certain age, they will just leave the family and they will just by themselves. Okay, this is the culture that they have developed. But in Hindu culture, we still have family concept. So for that reason, in fact, every happiness and suffering is not only individual matter. Okay, it is whole of the family members around them. Okay, so he also says that he suggested 4 mantras for this suffering. Okay, the 4 mantras is on the love. Okay, when the person is suffering, we need to be there. We need to be like, dear one, I'm really here for you. We have to offer that kind of offering so that that person who is suffering, he will feel like he is being loved by someone. Okay, and the second one is the dear one, I know that you are here and it makes me very happy. So the person who's suffering, he will feel like, yes, I have someone to be with me in this suffering. So in this, if you look into this Buddha's wife, in this case, when Yasodhara was in the grief, it is yes, Prajapati is the one, he really was there for her until end of Prajapati's life. She was being with Yasodhara to overcome all her suffering. And thirdly, the dear one, I see you suffering. That is why I'm here for you. So you must have that kind of what we call a kind of offering. And the person who's suffering, they need to feel the love that you have towards the person. Okay, and the fourth one is the dear one, I'm suffering, please help me. So that is what normally the person who suffer, he will feel like, actually I'm suffering and I need somebody to help me. So when there is someone to help them, the person who is in suffering, they will feel like they are more relief and the burden is not only on them. Okay, they will feel like they are being loved, and they will build a kind of confident that they have been loved and they can go through this suffering together. Okay, this is what been talked about in this chapter. And then it also says that suffering can be a creator of true community. But the issue isn't just suffering. We are suffer. It is about how we live and walk it together. Okay, it is says that when we suffer, most of the time we are lost. We don't know what is the step we are going to take. So when there's someone to guide us and work together with us on this suffering, so we feel like more relief and we feel like we are more beloved. And it is more like if you look at the Buddha's teaching, the teaching was saying Apo Dipo Bawa. Apo Dipo Bawa is more on the individual. So when you are suffering, how would I say? Okay, when you are suffering, if you are mindful on what you are doing and what you are saying and what you are giving to others, you can overcome this suffering. But in Yasodhara and also this teaching by the Buddhist, Vietnamese Buddhist monk, and also another person, another psychiatrist. His name is Dr. Martin Luther King. So his teaching is saying that why not we join together? We join together and go through the suffering. We try to help each other together, and we overcome the suffering together so that the burden can be lessened to the person who is suffering. And in fact, there is also a big risk if we let the person who's suffering by themselves, because they might taken a wrong decision to their life, and it also can be as worse as they commit suicide. Okay, can go until that level. So if there is someone to guide them, like a sangha, to guide them to overcome this, so this suffering can be minimized, and with the knowledge in the spiritual knowledge, they will can walk through this suffering path easily with more confident and more energetic and more clarity in their life. So this is what been shared in this topic of the right relation. Yes. Yeah, I think I'm done with this part of the right relation. So it's saying that it is the right relation is the one can help the person to overcome any suffering in a right path out from the suffering. I'll say like that. Okay,
Thank you.
that's all from me. And thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much, Master Keishnaveni. You did an amazing job. Now I'll call upon Master Meera. Master.
Thank you very much, Master Pathma and Master Keishnaveni. My humble pranams to Brahmashi Pitamaha Patriji and Swarnamala Patriji and all of you who are here today. We just heard from Master Pathma, firstly, that, staying on basically doesn't mean that, actually we have a choice when we stay on, when we decide to make the decision to stay on. Okay, and that we can play the victim role, or we can actually gut it out and just go on with our life with confidence and seek the path that we are there for. Okay, that was what we saw, basically what Master Pathmaji introduced this with, and basically it also means that staying on means staying alive. Okay, and getting stronger, right? And Master Keishnaveni focused more on how happiness and suffering, they are all, we don't have to face that alone. Happiness is not something that we can actually seek help. If we are going to, we are happy, we share our happiness. And if we are going to be suffering, we actually seek help for the suffering. So it is something called, and there's something called an interbeing or a dependent co-arising, as what they have put it, basically by this Mahayana Buddhism, Thich Nhat Hanh. So my part today is on creating ripe moments, reflections, and practices. So as what Master Pathma was saying, is actually a lot of questions on, counseling and psychology and all that arises in this particular chapter. And, basically what it starts off with by saying is that suffering in a relationship is a part of life. Of course, suffering can be of varying degrees. Not everyone suffers the same way. Some can have little bit less suffering, some more. We all know that. But and what they tell us is to honor the suffering in ourselves and others. But what is more important is to learn to ask for help, to reach out, and to be authentic about who we really are and where we really are, right? And of course, be there to receive the care and appreciate what is offered, okay? And how to receive whatever is good for us and to let go what is not good for us. So, and under that very same topic, we do have this questions or it's called reflections, where there's this whole list of questions that come under this reflections part. And this is where I kind of need to do a bit of marketing for our, circle of compassion that we have just commenced last week, Thursday, because what our circle of compassion does is to take these questions up and share. So that way, we are not just talking about this, from a very academic perspective as what we are doing now. We are actually sharing our own suffering, and and we come united as a sangha. So our suffering is there's less of a burden in our suffering because it's shared. And we also come to know that a lot of our suffering are common. Yeah. So when we look at the reflections part, the first question is basically think of a time where you have asked for or received help. Okay, and when someone met you in your time of need or your pain, and think of a time when someone offered care for help. So there are a whole host of questions if I go through it now. So these are the, basically what we're learning from here is that it is not something we need to handle alone. Suffering is not something that we all need to be dealing alone with to the point of us breaking down. So, which is why having that sangha coming together, sitting in a circle, or rather an imagined circle, and talking up whatever we face, Okay, not necessarily for any solutions or anything like that. It's just for us to let go and to know that there are others who care and tell you, yes, I'm there for you. Or you can actually cry on the other person's shoulder. That is the meaning of Sangha. Okay, so so after the reflections, we do have things like individual meditation practice, okay, where we kind of sit silently and kind of ask for help during the meditation. Okay, and then the next part is the relational meditation practice, and this is where we have basically we are having people around us and we actually seek help. Okay, and also with our hands, with our palms extended, we are actually seeking help and also offering help to others who need it. Okay, and the second part of this, because the first one was actually ask for help, second part of it is be mindful of the suffering of others. So that means be there for that person rather than turning away from that person who needs help. It's not it's not just about doing or feeling responsible for the other. It's being there, being present in whatever way we can. Okay, so at least we are listening to that person talking when they're suffering. Okay, and then that itself is actually so important. That is something that the person would actually find relief from. Okay, so we need to be there, we need to be authentic, and we need to kind of tell them that we are there for them. Okay, so and again, when you have under this showing up section, we also do have that reflections with a list of questions, and we look at in the we can actually have these questions for us in the past. Where have I shown up for others in a significant way? Okay, or are we still continuing to do that for others? Okay, and maybe there are situations where we have been less responsive or angry or judgmental or turned away. Have we done that? Okay, and what may have helped? So that there's this whole list of questions again, which we will take up during the circle of compassion sessions, okay, that we are having. And there is also meditational practice similar to the previous one, and also relational meditational practice again. And the last part of this is insight dialogue. Okay, it's actually a relational meditational practice, which is offered by this person by the name of Gregory Kramer, under the Theravadan Buddhist tradition. So when we practice it, it involves a liberating meditative and contemplative practice. Okay, it's essentially the point of being with, which means we just need to be very mindful. We need to be in the present. We need to be there to actually listen to them, to whoever needs it. So it's actually to address the suffering that we all have, especially in the West, as they say, because and that's where we actually need to be there in the present, because in many relationship there will be an inevitable suffering. Okay, and that suffering can come to an end, okay, through this practice. Okay, when we are in a in a kind of an insight dialogue through the Sangha. So the 6 guidelines that is actually recommended by Gregory Kramer, okay, which can be practiced separately or it can be practiced together. Okay, but I would actually think that it's better to be practiced together, as in there are six guidelines, so all can be practiced at the same time. And that are basically pause, which means that just stop whatever we are doing right now and think about the present situation. Be mindful, as I was mentioning earlier. Okay, and and secondly, relax. Okay, be in the present moment and let go any stress or any tensions in the body or mind. Okay, and to accept what is actually here. Okay, what is happening right now, just accept it. That is actually a moment of relaxation. Number 3, open. In the moment during that relaxation process, there is a natural opening to greater awareness. Okay, so that it's actually, so that will basically lead us to opening up into mutuality, which means the other person also will feel that, and we're opening up into that space. Number 4, trust emergence. This is where we are actually in it together. Okay, so we are surrendering to whatever is co-arising, and we are doing that together, with the people around us. Okay, and 5thly, listen deeply. So mindful and heartfelt listening are important. And okay, and of course that also shows that we are there for them when we listen. Okay, we need to be open-hearted and receive the voice of another, of course, and listening internally is another aspect of this practice. And lastly, but not the least, is speaking the truth. Points us to the mindfulness of the physical action of speaking the truth. Okay, all right, so when we actually speak, so and also not just truth, it's also about the right speech, which means speaking only what's true, beneficial, kind, and timely, and making sure that we are not hurtful or involved in any idle chatter or gossip. Okay, so this ID practice, which is ID stands for insight dialogue, has been within the Buddhist tradition, and it actually points to a whole life appreciation to transform our relationships. That's what the main thing is for, to transform the existing relationship. Okay, so it's actually used in practices in clinical psychotherapy and other medical and healing modalities. Okay, so basically that's about it as far as the final part of chapter 1. Part 2 is concerned. I hope that I didn't confuse any one of you, because it's very technical, and it took me a while to kind of, I had to read it up a few times before I could understand what they're trying to say. But actually, when you read it a few times, you kind of know where they're coming from, and it's actually very, very valuable. Yeah, it's something that we all can do and should do as a Sangha. And with that, I end my session for today. Over to you, Masters Pathma and Master Keishnaveni.
Thank you very much, Master Meera. No, you did not confuse us, not even a bit. What she said was true. All this how to do list, this list of things, it need to be put into practical by us just verbally telling it without any, the participants experiencing it. It won't actually, what I say, we can't utilize those methods unless we are in a Sangha and put it into action. So with this, we also humbly request, we are those people who are willing to hear the cries. So those who wants to find your own awakening path through this Sangha, please do join us every Thursdays, 10 p.m. until 11 p.m. Malaysian timing, and you should know the respective countries, equivalent time. Please do join us, and here we will not judge you. Believe us, we are not here to judge anyone. It's yes, you might think that these people are strangers. Why should I open up myself? Why should I even talk about my pain? Most of the time, the first responders, if some tragedy happens, the first responders, it's either our family or friends. But that's very important. The first person who's suffering is very, very important, either to heal, to make that person, or to break them. emotionally. And we, of course, we are strangers, but what connects us together here is our suffering and our mean of to find our own. And believers, we have no single expectation. So this is what makes it even more beautiful. And because Yashodra's pain, Prajapati, she could feel it because she has experienced it. But these two ladies, when they formed the sanghas, they could relate to other ladies' pain just because of that compassion, that empathy. They want to heal. They healed and they want to heal others. So this is what this sangha circle of compassion we try to achieve. So, masters, any of you have anything to say, anything to ask? Feel free. You can use the remaining time now to do that. You're in for it or you're against it. Anything is accepted, masters. We need to know your feedbacks or what your view about the book or your view about today's session. It's very important to open up, masters. No one? It's always hard to open up, isn't it? When it comes to we Malaysians, it's even more harder to even ask questions. But believe us, if we don't ask, we will not receive. So with that, since we have no questions, I believe that all of you understood and got the point what we were trying to convey. And all of you will show up to our circle of compassion next week, Thursday. And let's make this Sangha not just Sangha of circle of right relation or circle of compassion. Let it make it a circle of self-awakening as well. Thank you very much, Masters. With that,
Thank you.
all of us, we shall bid farewell. Bye.
Thank you, Master Pathma, Master Keishnaveni, and all of you.
Yes, thank you, Master Meera. It was an amazing session. Thank you, Master Keishnaveni. You did an amazing job.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. So shall we end the session now?
We shall.
Thank you.